The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.
Welcome back to K4Wins. I'm Tony Kurre, 40 years in the radio business, worked at ESPN. I'd still be working at ESPN had I not adopted my first child. They actually called me on New Year's Eve 2004. Said, we have airline tickets for you at the St. Louis International Airport. You are working tonight by yourself on 835 radio stations from midnight to 6. We'll see you when you get here. And I had just adopted my son about 3 weeks earlier from Guatemala, was up in St. Louis with my wife at the time. And I said, I can't. She said, why? And I said, because I just adopted my son. There's a bonding process that needs to happen there. I don't need to be leaving, and I'm on vacation with my wife. And she said, if you don't pick those airline tickets up, we will never call you again. And at that point, I knew that if I went to work for ESPN, I was going to be their whipping child. Yeah. Hey, guess what? We get airline tickets in Boise, Idaho. You need to be there by 3 o'clock today. See ya. And I was like, you know what? And I never worked for them again. But I did appreciate the opportunity, and it was certainly nice to put on my resume. Right below me, Keefer, executive director, chief editor, whatever you want to call him. He runs the rag, man. It's what he does. Las Vegas Sun. Fantastic mag. And of course, he's one of the few guys that picks every game from everywhere and does fantastic doing that. He's been handicapping for years. And of course, Gregory, my good friend, has been doing it for nearly 4 decades as well. Been playing both sides of the ledger. You and I started real quick. Big game. A friend of mine, Charles Allen, traveled down to Tobacco Road to watch his North Carolina Heels. He's the only one of the few guys. He lives over at Inverness Cliffs. He's got a North Carolina room. And it's got Jordan stuff on it. It's got Dean Smith stuff on it. He's loving it. He went down there and obviously saw his North Carolina Tar Heels get beat by 24 against the Wolfpack the other night. Kai and I were talking about that game case. NC State favored by 6.5 against North Carolina at home. And I said, I will take the Wolfpack all day long for a stake bet. He was smart enough to not take me up on that. And they got the big cover. Would you say that in college basketball, the home court advantage is just about as sticky as it is in any major league sport?
Yeah, certainly. I think we've probably talked about it before, but I do think home court advantage in college basketball is the biggest home edge I would give in anything. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into home court, home field, obviously, travel, a big thing, rest, etc. But if you just go put all conditions the same, no matter what, I do think there's the biggest adjustment in college basketball for home court than anything. I know North Carolina came into that game banged up too. I wish I would have bet that one. At least I knew to stay away. I was kind of with you. My first reaction was definitely NC State. And then I don't know. I don't even know if I ever saw 6.5. I bet I probably would have bet a 6.5. I can't remember the specifics, but I think the best I ever saw was 7. And I was like, maybe. And then I didn't do it. I went up to 7.5. And obviously it was easy, but NC State came out of that game pretty beat up too. So they'll see, be interesting to see what they do the rest of the year. But, yeah, the Wolfpack, I think, really talented team, probably underachieved, all things considered. So that was a great spot to back them. I wish I would have pulled the trigger. Yeah,
a huge victory for them. And of course, anytime you can knock off North Carolina, it's a wonderful day. Let's get into March Madness right now. We do have a change at the top. Michigan, Duke, Arizona, and now Houston with the 1 seed. They supplanted, of course, the UConn Huskies, who fall to a 2 seed. Now UConn, Illinois, Purdue, and Iowa State all at 2 seeds. We have 11 teams in from the SEC. 11 teams in from the Big Ten. Texas a 9, Tennessee a 5, Vandy a 5, Mizzou 11, Kentucky a 6, Georgia 10, Alabama 4, Arkansas 5, Florida 3, A&M 10, and Auburn 10. I want to go back and forth with you guys real quick. I name the team. I give the number. You say if it's too high or too low. Ready? Case, we'll start with you. Texas a 9 seed. Too high, too low?
I've looked at no bracketology, so I'll just go off my betting perception. I would say 9 is too high. I think they're probably a little bit worse than that. Like, just in terms of strictly value, this is not, I can't say that resume wise, I'm not up enough on that, but I think they're worse than that.
You reserve the right to change your mind for sure. Texas 9, Kai, over under.
100% agree with Case. I think they're ranked a little bit high. That team could make some noise. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, go a long way, but as a lower seed, a 9, even a 10 or 11 or a 12, I think they could pull an upset at least in the first round, though.
Yeah, I really want to see what they do in the SEC basketball tournament. Tennessee, we'll start with you, Kai. That's your team. 5 seed, high or low?
I think it's probably about right right now. The way they're playing a little bit better defensively and offensively. Nate Ament is finally waking up. Bishop Boswell's a lockdown defender. If we can get JP back, then I feel pretty confident. Tennessee's going to bang you inside. Their weakness is going to be if they get up against a good 3-point shooting team that can score, somebody that can score up in the 80s. And Tennessee still, for the last 20 years, has had a tendency to go on 4, 5, and 6 minute runs when they don't score, which could affect them greatly.
Case Tennessee a 5 seed, high or low?
I think they're better than that, but this is another one I get, knowing their resume off the top of my head a little bit. They lost some games they shouldn't have. It's probably fair resume-wise, but if you're a 12 seed, I think they're better than that. It should be. It is a little too low for me.
And you got to look at who they have left, on their schedule. And so Tennessee has at Vandy this weekend, then they're at Missouri, then Alabama, at USC, Vandy. So 5 games left, and they could go 1-4, or they could go 3-2. They're not going to go 5-0 with that stretch. Not a lot of teams win at Vandy, although I have not been impressed with how Vandy's been playing lately. Missouri at home is pretty tough. Alabama is, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So, who knows with that. Speaking of
Vandy a 5 seed, Case, high or low?
I get stubborn with these teams sometimes that I'm kind of attached to from the beginning of the year. And I agree with Kai. They've looked human lately, but they were just so good at the beginning of the year. And I think their schedule is a little bit better than people give them credit. So I still think a little bit higher of them than most people. I think if you change the jersey and it was Kentucky that had this resume, they'd probably be a lower seed. So I'll say they should be at least a 4. That's the low and high really throws me every time this time of year. I don't know if you're supposed to say too high or too low. Honestly, I think
you can also say spot on. It's like he did with Tennessee. If you want to say spot on, that's fine too. You can certainly do that. Kai, Vandy 5 seed, go.
They've got Tennessee and Georgia at home. Then they go to Kentucky, go to Ole Miss, and go to Tennessee. So they're either going to prove that they should be a 4 or they're going to prove they should be a 7.
Firmly on the bubble, the Missouri Tigers, an 11 seed right now. What do you got, Kai?
They're 5th in the SEC, and their schedule they're at Arkansas. Then they're home against Tennessee, at Mississippi State, at Oklahoma, and then Arkansas again. So they're gonna prove their way either way, but they're probably a little bit low based on their SEC ranking. Only based on their SEC ranking.
Case.
I'm biased because I hate Missouri as a Kansas guy, and they do have some nice wins, but I think this team stinks. So I think just
you hope they don't make it at all, right?
Can't deny they just beat Vanderbilt. They beat Florida. So they should probably be in, but I look at them to me as more like an ultimate bubble team. I don't think they're very good at the end of the day. So
Kentucky Wildcats.
I guess I'd say they should be higher.
Yeah, Kentucky Wildcats a 6 seed, Case.
Ooh, I think that's pretty close. Maybe if I had to take one or the other, I'd say higher. I just again looking at more the full body of work. They had so many puzzling performances earlier in the year. Obviously now they're not at full strength, so probably about right. But I'd go higher if I had to go anything.
Okay, Kentucky.
Based on where they are in the SEC, ranked 9th right now, I think they're a little bit high, but I think they're probably going to move up because they're at Auburn. They're probably going to win that. I think the 3 of us could beat Auburn right now. They're at USC, then they have Vandy at home, at Texas, and then they play Florida. So I can see them going at worst case 3-2, maybe 4-1. They're not going to go 5-0. They're not going to beat Florida.
Georgia a 10 seed. Kai.
That's right where they are in the SEC. Yeah. I think Georgia is extremely overrated on the road. I do not believe they're very good. I think they're overrated. I do not think they're going to make the tournament. They've got Texas, at Vandy, USC, Alabama, at Mississippi State. And if Hubbard plays like he did against Auburn, good Lord, they may go 1-4 or 2-3 and lose to Mississippi State. Yeah,
they're going to have to make some noise in the SEC basketball tournament. Georgia 10 seed, Case.
Yeah, I think they're probably worse than that. I don't trust them defensively, and I don't know. It seems like their style caught people by surprise early in the year, but it seems like they figured it out now. So I think they're probably worse.
Guy, you mentioned that the Missouri's got Arkansas twice, and right now Arkansas is sitting right there at a 5 seed. What's your thoughts?
It depends on how many people they have. If they go to a game with 7 players like they did against Alabama, I can't see it. Too high. I have no idea.
Yeah.
This team befuddles me. I think Acuff is one of the best players, best freshmen, in the country with what he has done, putting up 49 like he did against Alabama the other night, and then literally playing the last overtime with 2 walk-ons that had not even played a full game all year, and to lose that game by 1 by missing a dunk at the end, not him, but Ewan. I'm going to go with they're probably ranked too high because of their injuries right now.
All right. What do you think, Arkansas 5 seed case?
I think it's probably about right. I mean, I can't disagree with the injuries right now, but they just seem like a better version of last year's Arkansas team to me, where they have so much talent. You wouldn't be surprised if they made a run, but they have some clear. You wouldn't be surprised if they lost in the first round either. A John Calipari special, but I guess I'm still kind of tantalized a little bit by the upside. So I wouldn't want to draw them if I was one of like this 12 seed that had a great year. So I think just about right.
The highest.
Let me ask you something. Let me jump in here. Okay, so if Arkansas is there, they're 3rd in the SEC right now, behind Florida and Alabama. So they got Missouri at home, then they're got Texas A&M at home, then they go to Florida, then they've got Texas, then they go to Missouri. Those are their last 5 games. What's their record in the last 5 games, and how does that affect them going in?
3-2.
Well, that'll have a big. Yeah. I mean, if they're 3-2, they're probably staying about the same. I think if they go 4-1 in that stretch, I mean, you got to think they're going to lose at Florida. But if they go 4-1, they probably move themselves up a seed, right? You would think.
Yeah. Florida Gators at that 3 seed case. Pretty high.
I mean, I think with the way they're playing right now, that's probably they probably should be better than that. I think I would probably put them on the 2 line without going in my head exactly who would be where, but. I don't know. I mean, they look like a different team than they were at the beginning of the year. I'd probably have them a 2.
Kip, or I'm sorry, Kai. We got so many flipping K's around here, man.
Florida's is at Ole Miss, at Texas, Arkansas, Mississippi State, at Kentucky. 4-1 worst case, and that's just if they happen to mess up. They're playing as well as anybody in the country. I see them going 5-0. The rest, I think they may end up, especially if they win the SEC tournament. They might be the highest 2 seed.
Feel free to go ahead and throw out the fact that you can go high, low, the same, or they're not going to make the big dance. You may want to do that with A&M at a 10 seed case. What you got?
Ooh, just about right. I mean, I think the stretch they went on entitles them to still be in the tournament, but at the same time, I don't know that I don't think their underlying metrics, just the state of the team right now, is that great. So just in terms of how good they are, I think they're probably even a little bit worse than that. But in terms of what they deserve, that's probably about right.
What you think there, Kai?
Would you say a 10?
Yep.
There.
Mm-hmm.
So how is the number 8 team in the SEC a 10 seed, but the number 9 team in the SEC is a 6?
I think you know how that works.
That concerns me.
It's geography. It's geography. It's where they're playing.
Yeah. Their name's not Kentucky.
Yeah.
Same schedule. I mean, same record with what they have.
Sure.
Maybe different. They're at Oklahoma, which is not an easy win. I don't care what anybody thinks. Oklahoma is playing better. I know Tennessee just drubbed them, but that was at Tennessee. Some things went differently. They go to Oklahoma. They go to Arkansas. Then they have Texas, which is a rivalry. Then they got Kentucky. Then they're at LSU. So their best case, I think, is 3-2. It's probably more like 2-3. And I can see them slipping to where they are probably the 11 seed going into or an 11th going into the SEC tournament, and probably having to win a couple of games to maybe even stay in, depending on how everything else goes. So I would say if they're a 10. To me, they're too high.
Case, the Auburn Tigers are in trouble. Stephen Pearl's team's lost 5 in a row. They're having some issues big time. And I know that the old Stephen Pearl experiment, I'm not saying the guy needed to go to the NCAA. All I'm saying, if Bruce Pearl is the head coach right now, they're not in the position they're in. And that's just the way it is. You can say whatever you want. I don't care how they're banged up. Bruce Pearl, obviously, is a better coach than his son. He left, and we were all like, what just happened here? I do think Stephen could be a good coach. We haven't seen that yet. But your thoughts on the Auburn Tigers? Do they even make it into the big dance?
Again, I'm not a bracketology expert. I just called up Lenardi while we were talking about this so I could get a sense of where people are right now. I'm kind of surprised to see he has them one of the last teams to even have a bye. I mean, just off the top of my head, if you would have asked me, I would have thought they were probably one of the first teams out. So I guess I'm lower on them than than most, I guess. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, even when they were winning the games, I think they won a bunch of close games. I wasn't that impressed by them, and now it's kind of crash and burn. They could still turn it around, but I think they should be squarely on the bubble right now. I don't think they should be considered comfortably in.
What's your thoughts, Kai, on Auburn?
The fact that they're put as in right now befuddles me. Losing 5 in a row, watching Hubbard just chew them up in the first half the other night, put up 35. I'll give Stephen Pearl a little credit. They held him to 13 in the second half, so he ended up with 48. But to get down to that Mississippi State team the way they did, that's right. I said held him to 48.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To get down the way they did, no. And I don't think they do better than 2 and 3 the rest of the way. They got Kentucky this weekend. They go to Oklahoma. If they don't win at Oklahoma, then they're 1,000% out. Then they've got Ole Miss and LSU at home. Then they go to Alabama, where they're probably going to lose by 70.
Yeah, I mean, the schedule is, I mean, it could play, and if they can get a victory where they're not supposed to, their victory, it could actually play them in a little bit. And obviously, it could come down to that Alabama game at the end of the season. Speaking of the devil, the Alabama Crimson Tide, case a 4 seed, the Bidako situation is now over. We know who we're playing with, and they've been muddled around a 4 or 5 seed pretty much the last 3 or 4 weeks. Where do you see them? High, low, but where they need to be?
God, I honestly think I would have said a 4 if you asked me where they should be. So I would think they're probably just right. Yeah, we'll see where it goes here down the stretch. Maybe if they win out, I don't have all the schedules in front of me like Kai does. I probably could get them. But if they win their last 4 or 5 games, obviously they could jump or they could fall back. But I think 4 is probably perfect right now.
Kai?
I think they probably go 4-1 with their remaining schedule. They're at LSU, then they got Mississippi State, then they go to Tennessee, they go to Georgia. Which if that totals less than 190, you've got to go over in that game. And Auburn, it just befuddles me again. I'm going to use that word today. I guess that's my word. That Alabama fans are going so stark raving crazy over this win over Arkansas in triple overtime when Arkansas had 7 players and ended the last 2 overtimes with 2 walk-ons on the floor. Acuff and I can't remember the other guy's name that just dominated from start to finish. It was a very ugly win for Alabama, but I guess that's what good teams are supposed to do, find ways to win. That's a game they should have won by 20 points. And I mean, Arkansas led by 13 at halftime. So for Alabama to come back and win, that was pretty good. But with the schedule they have remaining and depending on the SEC tournament, I would say they probably end up in a 3 seed maybe. They might be the highest 4, but a low 3.
Man, those teams that jack up threes like Alabama does, it's just, I mean, and I mean, you get into the first 5 or 6 minutes of a ball game, you know whether you're going to be in or not. You just don't see it. I was watching the UAB game the other night where Temple went 1 of 13 from 3-point line. They lose by 5, and you're just thinking to yourself, if you could just make 2 or 3 more threes, usually that's the difference in a ball game. One final question for you two guys. Case, I'm going to give you UConn, Illinois, Purdue, and Iowa State, all 2 seeds, or the SEC. Which team's got a better chance at getting the furthest in March Madness? Who's got a better shot at winning a national title, the 2 seeds or the SEC all 11 teams?
Ooh, as a collection, I'd probably take the 2 seeds, although if you're asking me just to pick one of those teams, it'd be a coin flip for me between probably Florida and Iowa State, although you can make a Purdue case too, even though they've been struggling now. So officially for your question, I'll go the 2 seeds. I just, the SEC's been fun. There's a lot of good teams. I just don't know if it's like last year where there's like 6 teams I thought could get to the Final Four. Yeah.
Again, it's like, would you rather have 11 or 12 teams all muddled there between the 3 and 9 or 3 and 10, or would you rather have 6 teams that all have a shot at winning a national title? I'm not sure. SEC fans would probably take the latter. Kai, what's your chance? A 2 seed or the SEC?
Well, you got to give me odds because that's 4 teams versus, maybe the 1 team in the SEC.
Straight money. 2 seeds of the 11 teams in the SEC. Straight money.
Yeah. Pretend like it's a national championship bet, and you take 2 seeds or SEC, and anyone else wins, it's a refund.
Exactly.
So really,
there you go.
That's the way to look at it.
Exactly.
So I get every SEC team. I only think there's 1 team in the SEC that has a chance to win a national title, and that's Florida. I think they're playing as well as anybody. I'm not in love with Iowa State anymore. I love this Illinois team early in the season, and I like them this weekend. But I'm probably going to go with Florida then, although because Purdue doesn't get to play at home when they go to the NCAA tournament. So they don't get the benefit of what they got with Edey, even though everybody, wherever they were, let Edey just stand in the lane. And their big guy inside, good grief, man, to see what they did to Iowa's bigs the other night at Iowa was very impressive. But I'm going to go Florida because they got the bigs to play with Purdue.
Yeah.
And by the way, I just want to let you know, I thought Calipari, and I think this is one of the things where coaching does matter. I have been a huge opponent of Calipari and his coaching because I think he just rolls the ball out, gets the best players, and hopes to win. But his game plan against Alabama the other night was genius. He went out and made them drive to the basket. You know, they're up 13 at halftime, and then Nate Oates made some great changes in the second half where I think Alabama had 3 threes at halftime and had 10 in the second half and overtime just because of the switches and maybe the manpower also because Arkansas had so many fouls against them. But just wanted to point out that was I thought that was probably his best coaching job since maybe when he was at UMass.
Thought really interesting. I talked to Mark Ingram yesterday, the UAB athletic director. We do a thing called the UAB Director Share. Andy Kennedy has, the Xavier Musketeers do this thing called stops, where if you get 3 defensive stops, you get a K, kind of like a strikeout, and if they average like somewhere between 7 and more stops in a basketball game, they're like 29-0 or something like that. It's really interesting how it is. So Andy's got this thing called open shots. And he does an open shot market where it's based on how far away the defender is to the person shooting the basketball. But if they've got open shots, which means they're passing the ball crisply and cleanly, and they're getting a lot of assist, and they're averaging open shots, they're averaging 55% or better. They're like 32-1 or something like the last 33 ball games. This year, the UAB Blazers are hitting 27% of their open shots. Imagine that when you have an open shot and they're missing 27. Now you got 12 new guys on the team. I get that. They're sitting there 18-10 right now. They're going to have to do a little work even to play in their own tournament because they only 10 of the top 13 teams, and they're playing here. They have won seven games on the road, 7 games on the road, which is a record for UAB and should be sniffing a record for probably national prominence. I think they got the longest active road streak in the country, but they cannot win at home, where they've just been masterful at Bartow for a long, long period of time. And now the AAC tournament, well, it won't be at Bartow, we'll be at the BJCC. I can't wait for that. I love watching basketball tournaments from start to finish. I don't care if it's the Ivy League, whatever. I will go to a basketball tournament and watch it and bracket it. I just think that's just beautiful. And it gives you an opportunity to really see a conference from top to bottom. So very, very interesting. All right. Michigan, Duke, Houston, Arizona. Will those be our 4-1 seeds going into March Madness? Do you see any moves, and will it make any bit of difference? Anybody? You know what? I got to tell you something that really bothers me is I hate when teams go into their conference tournaments solidified at their seed. Duke's going to be going in as a 1 seed. Doesn't matter what happens, I don't think, in the ACC. They're going to be a 1 seed, period. They could lose in the first round. And I'm not saying the Schneider would rest his guys. I'm not saying anything like that would ever happen, because I do think it's such a chemistry type of thing, and you're talking about young men with young minds. I think it's important that they continue to play. But any shot that we have any difference in those 4 top seeds, and right now it looks like Michigan's got the overall top seed. Your thoughts on those, Case?
I could see Houston falling off as the only one. I think the other 3 are probably pretty entrenched. Michigan and Duke, I think, are absolutely locks. I think Arizona probably did enough with winning their first 23 games that I have a hard time seeing them getting taken off. Although I do know they're about to play Houston. That's like Houston now coming off that loss to Iowa State. I think they have Arizona and Kansas next. Then they're probably going to have some tough games in the Big 12 tournament. So if anyone falls off, I would not be feeling comfortable if I was Houston, but it makes sense to me they're in the driver's seat, but I still think they probably have a little more work to do.
What are your thoughts, Kai?
Michigan has Duke, Minnesota, and Illinois left. I think they win all 3 of those, although I think they have a better chance of losing at Illinois than they do against Duke this weekend. Houston has got Arizona, then at Kansas, then Colorado. I can see them losing 2 of those games, depending if Peterson decides to play. For Kansas. Kansas is freaking tough at home. Duke is got Michigan, and this weekend is News Report. I think it's in Washington, D.C. is the game. Then they're at Notre Dame, and then they play Virginia, who is that team I said, but they're not going to lose at home. And then Arizona is at Houston, at Baylor, and then ends at home against Kansas. So I'm gonna agree. I think Houston has the biggest chance of falling. But even if they lose those 2 games, if they come back in their conference tournament and do well, do they come back up to the 2 seed or to the 1 seed? Because I don't know that any of those twos really have the opportunity to move up much. I mean, UConn has Villanova, St. John's, and Seton Hall. Only game they're going to lose there is probably St. John's, although at Villanova is not easy. Iowa State has to go to Utah. They play Texas Tech, who I don't even know if that matters anymore. I can't remember who they play this weekend. Purdue's got Indiana, Michigan State, and Ohio State, which, hey, it's getting close to March, Case. What do we not do in March? We don't bet against Tom Izzo. No. I had to bring that up for you again so that we could go there.
I said something nice about Izzo when he got blown out.
Yeah, the last time we said that he lost by 24.
Hey, it's not March yet.
It's not late in the season. All right, we do have Purdue and Indiana tonight for a Friday night game. It's really the only game worth a squat. But I want to go through some of the games going on tomorrow.
11.5 points for that game.
I saw it.
Why are you forgetting about Miami of Ohio tonight?
I'm not. They've won 26 games in a row. Right now, they are number 11, which is amazing to me because they're 26-0 and they've got an 11 seed. I know the Red Hawk fans are absolutely pissed about that, but that's about right. I think about 11 seed for 26-0 when you look at their schedule. They continue to
y'all said the same thing about Indiana.
No doubt. Let's look at a couple of games for tomorrow, and I've picked several of them, so I want to get both your thoughts here. And I only mention this because we talk about smelly fishes all the time. That Florida Gator squad that's a number 3 seed right now is only giving up 12 on the road at Ole Miss, but a team that's 4 games under 500. Any shot that Ole Miss, first of all, gets an upset, but you like Ole Miss plus the 12 against the Florida Gators tomorrow?
You're getting just my off the cuff here. I haven't looked at any of these games other than the two really
good. I want to get the fresh case. I want the fresh prints. I want the fresh case. I want to hear your first.
Yeah, I like to put my numbers on before I actually make definitive statements. But if you just ask me off the top of my head what I would have made this number, I would think I'd say at least 13. So I wouldn't have much interest on Ole Miss. And I'm really high on Florida and the way they're playing. So I'm not guaranteed to bet the Gators, but I have a tough time seeing a scenario where I bet Ole Miss.
Guy?
24 hours from now, there is zero chance that line is 12. Zero. And I would take Florida up to 20 in this situation, which is a horrible thing to do.
On the road.
The road favorite and all that, but I think Florida rolls.
If Kip was right here, he would tell you all day long, take that 12. You know how he is with his home favorites. Tennessee Volunteers, 19-7 against the Vanderbilt Commodores, an in-state rivalry of unlike anything we've ever seen. It's almost as good as the Masters. No, it's not. Vanderbilt giving up 2.5. Your Vols are catching 2.5. Kai, what's going to happen tomorrow right around 1 o'clock?
I would take Vandy. I don't know if Estrella's going to be back, and that is huge for Tennessee inside with his foot injury. But on the road, Tennessee just, I don't know. Vandy at home is just tough. There's no way I could bet against Vandy, even on my team with this. So I'll probably take Vandy minus the 2.5 and hope to lose money.
Case?
This one's tough. What'd you say it is right now?
It is 2.5.
2.5?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they play. They're playing twice. Kai said, right? They play again. I mean, I guess I'd have to just default to the home team. I do like. I mean, like I said, I'm high on Vanderbilt this year. The thing that scares me is I just think matchup wise, I don't know. I kind of like Tennessee's physicality and the way they rebound against Vanderbilt. So as much I've bet Vanderbilt a ton this year. It seems like it's always Vanderbilt or pass every game for me. This is one where I'm not rushing to bet them, but I think being at home, I'd probably at least say they should have the full possession. So I guess I'd slightly lean Vanderbilt.
Huge. You got Terry going home for Tennessee. You know, he played at Vandy for 3 years. Yep. And I mean, that guy's a man among boys. I mean, good Lord, I would not want to play against that guy.
Huge ball game in the ACC tomorrow. Miami, the U, 16-5 against the spread this year, 21-5 overall, playing at Virginia, who's starting to find that defense again. Man, I've lived off Virginia's defense for a long time. I saw those 119.5s, 121.5s. I'm like, come on. And I'd always play the over, and they'd always go under 56, 54, 55, 52. They had a streak of holding teams under 60 points for like 5 years or something like that. Virginia's starting to find their legs again. Good squad. Right now, I don't have a line on this game. Don't know what you guys would think, but what's your thoughts on Miami at Virginia? What do you think the line would be, Case?
I swear I'm not making this up. Just when you started saying the game, I started thinking in my head, what would I make this? The number that popped up to me was Virginia 8, and the one place I see having it up is Virginia -8.
Wow.
So I think it's probably dead on. I think Miami's a little overachieved this year, but I think Jai Lucas has done a great job. Virginia, I think is so talented. I think really highly of this team. I think they've probably let a few get away that they shouldn't have. They've lost some close games. I don't know. I made an 8 in my head right away, and that's the way it works. I make it a number. So this would be a pass to me at this. Maybe if it goes down a little bit, even if you get to 7, it's kind of like a semi-key number, at least in my head for college basketball. Maybe if when we see this open wider, it's at 7, I'd probably be favorite or passed. I'm really eating the chalk on all these games right now. But yeah, I'd hope it opens a little bit lower and give me a chance to buy on Virginia. I think Miami's played just as well this year, but you always got to project forward. And I like what Virginia has a little bit more now at the end of the year.
Again, I could be loving me some Miami of Hurricanes. I'm getting them +8. They've had a stellar year. They're great against the spread, which I like to take into. I know that really has nothing to do with who's going to win the basketball game, but it does. They're 16-5. They're catching 8, and then they'll lose 60-51. You watch. What's Miami? What's going to happen tomorrow, Kai?
Whatever I say about Virginia, I told you all that before, is going to be. I do agree with what you're saying about Virginia finding their defense, kind of like Syracuse back in the day with their incredible 2-3 under Jim Boeheim. I would probably wait for the team total, and depending on what Miami's is, maybe take Miami under their team total in that game.
A national championship preview. Arizona at Houston. Both them 1 seeds, and Houston at right now is a 5.5 point favorite. That looks a little steep. I've seen Arizona play, man. Houston obviously has just moved into that 1 slot, but man, Arizona looks so good when I saw them down at the BJCC against Alabama, and they've just gotten better and better throughout the season. Kai, what's your thoughts on Arizona catching 5.5 against Houston?
Well, the difference there is Houston plays defense and Alabama doesn't.
True.
Watching that Alabama-Arkansas game is probably, it made me think of the NBA All-Star games back in the day when the total was 351 in the NBA All-Star game, and it went over that like with 6 minutes left in the game. That's kind of like Alabama these days. But what's crazy is because for 5 or 6 games in a row, they actually played defense. That's hard for me to look at. I don't. Barry, just depending on how Barry is, how healthy he is for Arizona, would be one question for me, because I know that he was kind of gimpy the last couple of games. Clearly, that affected Arizona. And for the life of me, for some reason, I cannot think of Houston's phenomenal freshman with his long hair, how well he played.
Flemings.
Yeah, Flemings. I love Kelvin Sampson, so it's very hard for me to go against Houston in this game. 5.5 is a line that I would have to stay away from.
You guys want to look at Texas, Georgia?
I think one of the biggest questions is going to be how many people are going to play for Arkansas this weekend against Missouri.
Yeah,
Arkansas is Arkansas going to have 7 guys on the bench that he wants to run through with 5 walk-ons, or are they going to have 8 or 9? Or 1 or 2 of their players going to be back?
Well, right now Arkansas is favored by 10.5 against Missouri. Let's go ahead and mix. I think that we would talk about a Texas-Georgia game. If you're a Texas or Georgia fan, sorry, it's kind of a game, but they're both a 9 and a 10 seed, so they're playing for their lives. Right now every victory is super important this time of the year, and that would be a D1. That would be a D1 win. That would be actually really, really good if you could win that game.
What is that line, Tony?
It is, there is no lineup on it yet. Texas and Georgia. But I did want to mention Missouri. You mentioned Arkansas 10.5. By the way, Missouri's like 5-12 against the spread this year. They're not having a very good season overall. They're 18-8. What's your thoughts on Arkansas giving up double digits to Mizzou? Case?
Well, first of all, I kind of lean the buy low, sell high. I see a 2 in that Georgia-Texas game. Granted, these lines are really soft, fairly open. I just feel like these teams are about even, so I'd probably lay the short number with Georgia. If this is any other point of the year, they'd probably be a little bit higher. As far as the Arkansas game, I agree with Kai. Let's see who's playing, but also I know they've had a few days of rest. That game was Tuesday, right, against Alabama, whenever it was. That takes something out of you. Double overtime road game with only a handful of scholarship guys. So yeah, at a big number, even though I just talked about how I don't really like Mizzou overall this year and think they've probably overachieved a little bit. That's one where I'd probably be more looking at the dog given the situation. So I'd probably take the double digits with Mizzou. And I also lean Georgia getting a little bit back on track. So I think Texas is playing a little bit better than they are at the moment.
Early in the season, Villanova was catching 11 on the road at UConn. Now Villanova is obviously a little bit better than we thought. And I was talking about my Xavier Musketeers. They just cannot seem to get over that Villanova hump. They played again the other night, but only 5 losses for the Nova guys this year. And they're at home now to repay the favor against UConn. Do they think they do it, Kai?
I mean, UConn's coming off that brutal loss where they just played like ass against Creighton's home.
That's a good way of putting it. They played like ass, so you're right. That's about right.
And that shocked me. I don't know what the line is.
What is that line, Case? Do you have any idea? Where would you put that line?
Let's see, Villanova, UConn. Now I have a different tab up. I see UConn -1.5.
Okay.
Well,
Ooh.
I probably would just watch the game, and I'll flip back to the others that you're talking about. Georgia at home, I'll take them over Texas, and I've got to take Missouri plus the 10.5, even though they suck on the road. Acuff played every single minute of that game against Alabama, and then the 2 and 3 guys that stayed in there, I think both of them only sat for like 3 minutes. But man, Villanova, UConn. That is a true, old school Big East rivalry from back in the day, and from when I was young.
Okay, we'll just put a by that one. I want to put a by that one.
Villanova.
Another preview, perhaps, for a national championship game. Michigan-Duke, another pair of ones getting after it. Duke giving up. Actually, Duke's catching 2.5 at home at Cameron. The interesting thing about
no. That game's in Washington, D.C.
I'm sorry, in Washington, D.C. You're correct. It is a neutral floor. Duke is catching 2.5 at Washington, D.C. And by the way, both teams 13-12 against the spread this year. So they've been pretty even cut when it comes to winning and losing. But overall, 3 losses between the two teams combined. Michigan's only having the 1 loss now. And again, they're only giving up the 2.5. We'll start with you, Case. Huge matchup at 5:30 tomorrow night.
That got me. I think I probably would have caught it by the time I got to actually pricing these games for tomorrow, because I haven't done that yet. But just looking at it, I mean, because I saw the line on this game was up on like Tuesday or something, and I saw it. I couldn't believe. I love Duke. You could get a 3 right now. I love Duke +3 at Cameron, but I didn't realize till right now it's in DC when Kai said that. I still will stick with it, though, just with a little less conviction. I think Kai and I have agreed on a lot of these games, so it'll be good to be opposite on one, as I think he just said he liked Michigan. I think Michigan's been the better team. I think they're the best team in the nation, but I still have just Duke's talent to me, I think they have a higher level they can reach than anyone. I think at this time of the year is when talent, at some point starts to play out. So even though I really wish it was in Durham, I'd love Duke at +3. I still think on a neutral site, these are the 2 best teams in the nation. I think it's probably pretty close to a coin flip. I would take the points either way I could. And I mean, one of the biggest books in Vegas, one of the national books, Caesars, has had 3 all week. So even on neutral site, I'd have to take Duke +3.
May want to go with the trend a little bit. 6 and 18. Duke is in over-under games this year. And it's because their defense is playing lights out. They've gone under, I think, in 10 of the last 12 ball games. This over-under is 148.5. Seems a little high. Sniffs a little high for a Michigan-Duke game. Your thoughts, Guy?
I think no timeouts will be called late in the game when they don't have timeouts to give a team a victory. I think Michigan has the better players on the floor in 3 of the 5 positions starting, and in 5 of the 5 positions if they make some substitutions. I think they have the better coach, and I think they'll win by double digits.
Okay. And just for sake of having some fun here, let's go Kentucky at Auburn. Auburn, yes, that Auburn is favored by 2.5 at home tomorrow. Again, for you peripheral fans, you were like, wait a minute. I thought you just said Kentucky was playing better ball and they've only lost 9 ball games and Auburn doesn't even have a shot to do and Stephen Pearl sucks. So how in the world are they actually favored by 2.5? Case? Why is that?
I actually probably would have thought it's a little bit more. I mean, just on paper, these 2 teams are pretty close if you take the full year into account. I mean, we just talked about how much home court matters in college basketball. I mean, I would think for an SEC game, I mean, it's probably like 4.5 points. So now you're saying Kentucky's clearly like a position better than Auburn on a neutral. That seems a little aggressive to me. I think almost any other point of the year, Auburn would be laying more, and even Kentucky had a little more health at different points of the year. So, I mean, still without, arguably their best guard and their best big man. So, some of the best bets to make aren't comfortable, but 2.5, I actually think that will probably close a little higher. I think it'll be at least Auburn 3 by the time it closes. So I'd have to say Auburn on my first reaction.
What do you think there, Kai?
I got to see the injury report and see who's actually playing for Kentucky. But watching Auburn, they just, I don't know. There's just something not right about them, offensively and defensively. A lot of standing around on offense, waiting for Hall to make a move. If Hall gets in foul trouble, Auburn has no chance against anybody, in my opinion. And I don't necessarily think that Auburn would have won 4 or 5 more games if Bruce Pearl was coaching. Don't get me wrong. I don't think Stephen Pearl is a great coach. I don't think he's a horrible coach. I think that, he's learning, and maybe Bruce gets a few more calls or something. But this Auburn team just is not. There's not a cohesive unit, no matter who is on the floor. And I think that probably affects them. I would take Kentucky if Kentucky was -3 in this situation. But, I don't know. And I do believe that Mark Pope is probably a better coach than Stephen Pearl. And if Kentucky's healthy, I think Kentucky's a favorite in this game.
So you're definitely taking Kentucky either way.
Pretty much.
All day long. All right. The Olympics are still going on, by the way. And I see where
and we posted the women's hockey team in one.
Yeah, how about
I've already posted the men's hockey team.
Yeah, and the last 7 Olympics has been won by the Canadians or the U.S., and I think the U.S. had won 2. The Canadians have won 5, so they're getting closer to evening that up as they get the gold medal. Of course, the men's continue to go. And by the way, I heard an interesting, useless Tony Curry stat, which I know you absolutely love. There is only one sport that has been televised every single day of the Olympics. Can you name it? Not played every day, but televised every single day. Yes. Would you say?
I feel like it's damn.
Seems like every time I see it on, it's curling.
That's right. So. You're right. Curling. Listen, curling was fantastic when the Norwegian curling women's team did the calendar about 12 years ago. It was a big story. They brought sex back to the sports, and everyone was like, and they had the girls holding the big stones in front of their breast and whatever. And they were trying to make money so they could actually go to the Olympics. It worked. It brought a sex appeal, and everyone was like, you have to have all this wonderful yoga and all this other shit. And I'm telling you, one of the most boring ass sports I've ever watched. I mean, listen, you could be naked curling, and it could be all Lindsey Vonns. I'm not sure if I'm going to watch very long, but I'm sitting there I try to get into it. I realize everyone thinks it's super cool. It's really weird. But the fact that you need 4 people to play fucking shuffleboard to me just was really strange. All right. Anything else going on in the world of sports? Yeah.
Finland's up 2-0 on Canada right now in the hockey semis. Just only bringing it up because it's topical. Talking about I think everyone expects it to be USA Canada, but we're in the second period, and Canada looks like they're in trouble for the second straight game.
All right. Normally, towards the end of the show, I will tell everyone out there, give you a little piece of information. Kai will text me and say, "Hey, dumbass, I had all this stuff to go over, and you ended the show." So today, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give you a good 3 or 4 minutes to throw out any shit you want that I did not touch on today, because I told you we go March Madness all the way, and we're doing that. Do you have anything else you want to throw out there that you need your peeps to know about?
We went 4-2 yesterday.
Good.
So not bad. Lost a game I did not want. Year to date, 181 and 114 at K4Wins.com. And, we're going to have some picks up there tonight. I'm very happy that you went through college basketball as much as you did. I have loved the fact, and I blame it on Kip and Case, but I've always watched hockey in the Winter Olympics, always. And dating back to, when the men's hockey team beat Russia in the semifinals.
Do you believe in miracles?
But if you watch Miracle, so many people, even my age, always think, oh, well, that was great. We beat Russia in the gold medal game. No, we didn't.
No, you didn't.
We've been in the semifinals.
No.
And then those kids had to go through that and then come back and win in the finals, which they did, relatively easily.
That would have sucked, man. If they came back and lost the gold medal game, you know how sucko that would have been? I mean, no one would have been talking about it. It would not have been. There never
would have been a movie.
No.
I mean,
and do you remember who was on the call who said, you believe in miracles?
Do you believe in miracles?
Yeah. Do you remember who it is?
Is that Musburger?
It was Al Michaels.
Al Michaels.
Can you name the one Major League Baseball team that Al Michaels actually worked for before he ended up doing that gig?
Probably Cincinnati Reds.
Cincinnati Reds. He was. I cannot believe that Cincinnati Reds actually had Al Michaels as their. Now, don't get me wrong. Marty and Joe were the best. I mean, it wasn't even close. But Al Michaels, the Cincinnati's had been well steeped in wonderful technology and certainly personality when it comes to play-by-play. They've done a great job, and it's hard because when you're losing 108 games every year, you need to have a good guy who knows how to do play-by-play and make it sound very, very entertaining. It is just a little outside.
Well, at least you know they're not going to lose 100 games this year. But,
nope, they better not.
I tell you, since I'm wearing my Hard Rock Vegas shirt, I got to tell you, the last time I was out in Vegas, I saw Pete Rose in one of those things where he's charging people $250.
He's still out there, but he's still out there. By the way, he's dead now. They've got him in a glass case, but he's still signing autographs, which is incredible. Pete Rose is the only guy that can still sign autographs after he's dead. It's a Weekend at Bernie's thing. You put a quarter in, and his arm goes up, and he actually signs the autograph, and he puts it back down. They let him go back to sleep. It's amazing.
Well, I was there, and we walked by, and you could see the line. And so I walked in, and I got my buddy to take a picture, and they tried to run us down to get that picture back or get us $100. And I was like, not going to happen.
That's how Pete made his money.
Pete Rose for a picture. He's sitting there. I can take a picture. It's, America, it's free. But I'll tell you what, and I would encourage anybody to watch the rest of the Olympics if they can. There's some good wagers to bet on in the Olympics. Just like, the women's hockey game was not anything special.
What was the line on that game, by the way?
I think it was 160 for the women, but it was also the best bet was would it go into overtime, and we had a draw. We didn't have it. I bet draw for 60 minutes, and so then it goes in, which I love those bets in hockey.
Real quick, I got to go. Do you like the 3-on-3 overtime deal?
Not really.
Man, it's exciting. I'll tell you that much.
It worked out.
It did, but what really bothers me is they won on a shift change. I hate that. They actually won because some gal wasn't on the ice just quite quick enough. It was like they were waiting for the shift change to set up that offensive play, which is great coaching. Don't get me wrong, but I'd like to see 3-on-3 strength and to say, hey, you three are going to play out. Period. No shift changes. We're going to find out who's three are better than the other three, because to win on a shift change on a technicality like that was kind of like, because the USA, they were down, with 2 minutes left. They pulled the goalie, and next thing you know, it's tied up. It was a great match. It was a lot of fun.
Okay, so the men going to win? Are they going to win today and get into the gold medal match?
I think so. I've been. It is tough, and they had a scare too in the quarterfinals. But I've been on them ever since the beginning. I wrote that I thought they were a good bet futures wise. I bet them plus 225. So I don't know. I think their goalies are so much better than Canada's. Canada's probably already deserves to be out, and maybe they're on their way out here. But I would take the U.S. right now.
All right, got to fly, guy. K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com. Go check us out. It's free to go to our website, and of course, check out all of our free plays and everything else we do on K4Wins.com. Have yourself a wonderful weekend, guys. We'll catch up next week right here on TKR and Tony Curry Radio. Appreciate you.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.